Hi, friends, and welcome to a very special episode of Bite Size Bish, which is Happy Halloween to those who celebrate Halloween. It is one of my favorite U.S. holidays. People here call it spooky season. The reason why truly it's my favorite is that two of my three favorite humans on this earth, my nieces and nephew, were born in the fall. And it's a beautiful time here. And we always go trick-or-treating together ever since they were old enough to go. My husband and I, it's a tradition that we've done so my oldest niece is 18 and now wants nothing to do with any of us, which, is developmentally appropriate, but also feels like a shot to my heart. You get it. Moms, aunts, godmothers, if you love a child, you feel that extremely deeply. So, but her siblings are 6 and 8, and they still love to go with us. And so this Halloween, we will be doing that. Just holding hands and walking in, the crispy weather, which here it may be unseasonably warm. In Northeast PA, normally it's cold for Halloween by this time. The leaves are definitely off the trees, and, we do get a beautiful fall, but it is quick. And so it might be in the 70s on Halloween, which TBD, I'll let you all know, because obviously I'm pre-recording this. So we just love taking the littlest loves of our life to do that. And unfortunately, they both have really severe food allergies. So my nephew is not only massively allergic to peanuts, he's massively allergic to all nuts. We live in an area that is not at all progressive. People who are hearing this may be like, oh, yes, we do this for those kids or that for those kids. Well, here they do nothing for those kids. And in fact, there's not a lot of awareness. So most of the candy is tainted and he can't have it. And unfortunately, my little niece, who's 6, has a very unfortunate, she got SIBO when she was young after a course of antibiotics, and she developed what's called a sucrose intolerance, and she's been seen by specialists, and unfortunately she is intolerant to sugar, physically can't process it, and makes her very sick. So Halloween, as you can imagine, for a super aunt like me, can be a blood-soaked nightmare. However, thanks to the invention of allergen-friendly candy, number one, and keto candy, number 2, which keto candy is like very low. It might have like 1 or 2 grams of sugar, which she can have. So what I do in preparation for Halloween is I get their buckets and I fill them with all of the stuff they can have. And then we go trick-or-treating, and they know that they really can't eat what they get. We give it to other kids, or I'm not going to lie, sometimes auntie, and uncle partake a little bit. We that's our 10%. So either way, a very fun time is always had by all. And it is one of my most favorite things to do. And I cherish every moment because soon, again, like my oldest niece, they're going to want nothing to do with us. And so every year I just bask in the glory of being able to love them and make sure that they have the best Halloween possible and that they don't feel different or left out. So it just all brings me great joy. However, this Bite Size Bish episode is going to be, as promised, me telling my ghost story of living in a very haunted home at one point in my life. A listener gave me this idea. And if you are that listener and you're listening, thank you. But also please DM me because I would love to give you a shout out. And unfortunately, I get so many DMs, especially lately. It's been impossible to keep up with. And so I've already lost track of the person whose idea this was. I'm so sorry. But thank you for that idea. I was born and raised in Downers Grove, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. We lived there from when I was born until the age, 17, when my parents moved me from Downers Grove, Illinois, the coolest place on earth, to Sugarloaf, Pennsylvania, the worst place on earth. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. It's not the worst. It's actually, it's as its name suggests, it's quite quaint. And it's, it's lovely and it's beautiful. But, as a 17-year-old girl, I did my freshman, sophomore year in high school in Illinois and junior, senior in, Bumblefuck, PA. And it was as terrible as it sounds. It was so hard. And then obviously what was harder is that I got cancer when I came. So it was like we moved into this new house that, by the way, was haunted. I'm starting this new school. And then I get cancer. And so I'm the new kid. And people were like allergic to me. It was, you know, it's just a good thing that I'm made of tough stuff because, and honestly, sometimes adult me is in awe of what young me even was capable of doing. I don't even know how I did it. Like walking up and down the halls bald, being a new girl, and literally everyone staring at me, which is not in my imagination at all, and I held my head high and whatever. But the purpose of what I'm saying is that sometimes they say that spirit activity increases in a situation where people have a lot of stress or anguish, right? So what I'm telling you is that we moved into this house at a point in my life where I couldn't have had more anguish. I sincerely couldn't have had more. I didn't have any friends. Well, I had like a small group, but I just never fit in. It was just like a wild time. We move into this house that was beautiful. And by the way, here's another weird, note about this house is, where we take my nieces and nephew trick or treating now is on the same street where we lived in that haunted house. And we stop there every year. And unfortunately, the people who live there aren't super receptive to discussion about it because I kind of go every year. I just, I'm naturally chatty and I, say, oh, hey, we're the people who live in the house. And we tell you that every year. And they're always just like, yeah, uh-huh. And so, if they were like, hey, would you like to come in? I'd be like, yes, I would love to. Or, hey, like if they seemed at all receptive to me, I would want to ask them if the activity is still there because I wonder if so much of it was kicked up because I was a very angsty teenager who was told she was dying and was in a new area and a new school. And in other words, I'm saying, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me, I think. So we move into this house. It was a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house, beautiful home. In, the backyard was woods, but it wasn't kind of this residential neighborhood, but it was, wooded. And when you walked in the house, on the left it was a room. So it was a room and it had a bathroom attached. And then that led to the kitchen. And then on the right, there was like a sitting room that led over into a dining room. And then that all convened in the middle where the kitchen was. And my brain has not been functioning great. So this is the best I can describe it for today. As soon as we move into this house, there is something funky about the room on the left that I just described to you. It was me, my dad, my mom, and my sister. That's all the family I have. I have one sister. She's 4 years younger. And so when we moved, my dad made that his computer room. He was always really big on, he had all the newest technology. And so as soon as computers were available for like home access, so he always had the latest and greatest of everything. I was that kid who we had the flat screen, gigantic TV before they were a thing, the newest equipment or whatever. And so the only reason I'm saying that is this room, it was elaborate. It was like, we had this, state of the art at that time, desktop computer, the best dial-up internet money could buy. And there were a lot of speakers, audio equipment in that room to kind of, he liked that immersive experience. But every single time I was in this room, I just felt like I was not alone. I'll just say that. Okay. But it was never anything significant until ... I got sick. Okay. So this is where this all comes in. It felt funky when we moved in, but when I moved in, I had not yet been diagnosed with cancer. Actually, I was not even sick. I got sick when we moved, which everyone was just assuming was because I was depressed and sad about, leaving literally everything I've ever known, my friends, my family, my school, whatever, my social life. I would say we were in the house for months. And then I started getting sick. And so the long and the short of it is that from me getting sick to me being diagnosed was a very long time. And it was during this time and after that all of the activity really kicked up a notch. And I'm not going to lie, I will give a disclaimer that some of these stories are super creepy. So if you scare easily or have nightmares easily, listener discretion is advised. Listen, and some people might be like, this ain't nothing. I don't know, but it is very creepy. My parents decided with everything that I was dealing with that they would get me a dog. So we got a dog. Her name was Lily Ann. Yes, she did have a middle name. She was the first love of my life. She was a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel who, Charlotte in Sex and the City, that was the dog that she got. And, they're super popular. They're really cute and they're just cuddle bugs. And Lily was just like my buddy. And, when my hair fell out, she laid literally above my head on my pillow. And she was just like, a therapy dog without being trained to be a therapy dog. And it was just my good fortune that my parents had this idea and said, this is the dog we're going to get. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And so when this all started to happen, strange things would start to happen where Lily would be in my room and I would close the door. But then when I woke up, the door would be open. And, I just assumed that either she was crying to get out or someone let her out. I would ask them and they were like, no, we didn't open the door, whatever. And then other thing, like it really did start slow, like a building horror movie where it's like these little things where I would put something down and then like would not be able to find it. And then it would be literally right where it was supposed to be. And I knew for sure that I had looked there and I was like, what the hell? We had this big kitchen with an eat-in kitchen area and it looked out to the woods and there were these two corners and Lily would go to this one corner. She would walk up to the corner, sit down, literally look up, like, move her head all the way up to like look up as if a person is standing there and start barking ferociously. And let me tell you something about my sweet little Lil. If a burglar came in, she would have licked them. She would have become their best friend and allowed all of us to be slaughtered because that was the kind of dog she was. She was a sweet soul. So when she would look into this corner, look up and start barking, it was the creepiest thing. And she started to do it all the time. And it wouldn't be like every day and there wouldn't be rhyme or reason, but it all of a sudden it would just be like, it would be this cold sensation that would come through the house and then she would do that. And, obviously they say animals can like see stuff, humans can't, which to me, I was like, okay, she's seeing something I'm not, but I'm feeling the vibes. And then the real weird stuff started after I stopped my treatment and I was told I was in remission, even though I wasn't supposed to be. Lily, as soon as my hair started to grow back, she went to sleep at the foot of my bed. And then as soon as it grew back fully and I was doing better, she literally never slept in my room again. And after that, I started like closing my door at night just because I felt more comfortable that way. And in the mornings, I would wake up and the door would be open. Again, I would ask my family again that they swear they wouldn't do it, but I was like, okay, it wouldn't have been beyond my dad to just psychologically terrorize me. So I didn't really believe that. But anyway, So what I started doing was, before I went to bed, I had this box. Ironically, it was a box of stuff that I got from Making a Wish with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and going to meet the cast of Friends. I had all these mugs and this merch and all this stuff. And I literally had like a Xerox box full of it. It was a treasure to me. So I kept it for some reason in there. I felt it was safe, but it was heavy. And so I would put the box in front of my door, lock my door, and go to sleep. And in the morning, the box was in the middle of the room. The box was in the middle of the room. The door was unlocked. And not only was it unlocked, it was opened. And, I'm not that heavy of a sleeper that if someone busted through a locked door in my room in the middle of the night, that I wouldn't have heard it. Okay. So I'm just telling you, this was wacky. And it literally shook me to my core. But then a couple incidents happened that were really super bizarre. And one of them was, and it was kind of like a crescendo. And one of them was, this was back in the day of AOL. And so if you are a millennial, you are not going to really know what I'm talking about. And maybe people of a certain age won't either, but there's a very specific group of people my age, middle-aged women, who know what AOL Instant Messenger was. And it was like the very first chat feature. You could have away messages and it would make these noises when you would come in and out of the room. It was like a door opening and closing. And, this was like peak. Wow, we thought we had it all with AOL Instant Messenger. In college at this point, I am, admittedly partying, living my best life, coming home super late because it didn't matter. There was one night I was up in my bedroom and it was like 2 a.m. and all of a sudden I heard the bing bong noise. That's what I'll call it. The AOL bing bong noise downstairs super loud. And I was like, oh, crap. So I thought that I had left it on, and the speakers, again, he had these huge surround sound speakers. And I was just like, shit, I left those on. So I run downstairs and the computer is off, completely off. The speakers are off. Everything is off. Nothing is on. And I am telling you, I heard the noise. And I'm literally looking around and I'm like, I said out loud, I'm here. What do you need? And then I go upstairs. I listened. I mean, I'm open-minded enough to be able to say, okay, you wanted my attention. What is it? And how can I help you? I guess I've always been a curious person my whole life. Also, I was super traumatized from, chemo and trauma and all of that. And so I was just like, okay, whatever, ghost, what you got? And I go upstairs, I lie in bed, and all of a sudden, I hear a whisper in my right ear. I'm a side sleeper. I'm laying on my left side. I hear a whisper in my right ear and cold air. It feels like ice cold air across my face on the right side of my cheek. I could not understand what the whisper said, but I knew it was a whisper. And I knew it was this lady, and I did not know what she wanted, but I also was like, well, how am I to sleep now? How am I to sleep? So I sat there alone and scared and white knuckled it until morning. And I was getting ready to go to my college course, whatever it was, because also I should say at that point, I was commuting. I had to go to college at a branch campus, Penn State, Hazleton campus, because I was still like just coming out of my treatment and like I needed like every 3-month scans. And, they were really concerned about like relapse and reoccurrence and blah, blah, blah. So the point is I had to live at home and go to a branch campus, which wasn't my favorite, but it's what I had to do. And that's what I was getting ready to do. I was in my mom and dad's room because she had like a makeup vanity. And I was putting on some makeup and I have the TV on because of nobody's home, but I start hearing noise that I know is not from the TV. So I turn it off. And in the hallway, like I am sitting, I don't know, maybe 15 feet from the hallway, and I hear a straight up conversation between a man and a woman. They were arguing about something, but it was muffled. It sounded like if someone was talking with a pillow over their face. So kind of like, so you can hear that I'm saying words, but you can't hear what they are. And I'm looking into the hallway where these voices are, and I'm not seeing anybody. And it's going on for so long that I am like, I had one eye done and one eye not. And I was like, I don't care what I look like. I have to go. But to get out, I have to go through where said ghost people were talking. That's the only way out, is through that mess. So when I say the only way out is through, I've walked the walk. Because I did. Busted through it. And then the talking stopped. And I literally ran out of the house. I've never run out of the house so quickly. And so a million more incidents happened. I'm just kind of giving you the major nuts and bolts of it. And here's what I will say is that the communication in my family was not great. Okay. But at some point, we all had enough experiences that someone said something and we were able to come together about and talk about our shared experiences with this ghost. And so what we come to find out, because I'm not going to make this a 2-hour episode and continue telling these wild stories, even though I could. But what we found out is that room, that was the computer room, a family had lived there with an elderly mother who had passed in that room. And that is why the bathroom was attached, and I think it was built for her. But I believe that is why my illness kicked up activity. Like there was stuff going on before, but it was like me being sick, and then the stages of that seemed to trigger activity. Here's the thing. I took a class on parapsychology, which is there's psychology about the paranormal, right? What's above the normal. And I took a class from a guy who he was actually, I went to Penn State, and he was featured on, there was this paranormal ghost show. Gosh, I forget what it was called, but he was actually featured on the show, and I had him as a professor, and it was really interesting. And so, people are people, and when they pass on, or, whatever happens after we die, even though no one really knows, like, of course, there's evidence to support that, spiritual things do happen outside of the realm of what we can explain. And so it seemed like I dusted up a lot of that energy. But what was interesting is that I'm big on boundaries. And so when all of this stuff was happening, I kind of said out loud, it would really scare me to see you. So please don't do that. Like all that other stuff that I'm telling you, yes, it was terrifying, but for some reason, I was just like, please don't show yourself to me. I will have a heart attack and die. However, my mom, my sister, and my dad all said that they saw her and described her like from a creepy M. Night Shyamalan movie. It was a lady in white, an elderly woman with long hair in a white, nightshirt. And she would frequently walk, out of the room. That was the room she died in, and go down the hall. And where the refrigerator was, she would always walk through it. Now, they saw that, I didn't. And why I'm saying this is that I think maybe she respected my boundary. That might sound a little interesting, but I don't think she was there to scare. I think there was communication that was trying to go on, but I was way too traumatized and going through too much to be able to discern her stuff. I wish maybe I could do that now, but back then it was like, listen, bitch, I got my own stuff, okay? So just leave me be. But no, in a weird way, I think maybe she was like my guardian angel, or she was trying to help, or, eventually, my parents got divorced when I went to college, and we sold that house and moved out. And, my sister and her kids live right down the street, which is really funny. Every Halloween, I'm just really reminded not only of the ghost stories, but just of, just being respectful of people's experiences, whether it's here or on the other side, I guess. And so that's the very sappy spiritual me. I hope you have enjoyed this extra long bite-sized Bish episode. I hope everyone has a very happy and safe Halloween. And please look forward to next week, my episodes on neurodiversity and my interview with my friend Kathy about her experience with her son on the spectrum. So please tune in for that. And I just want to say, please take care of yourselves and each other, and ta-ta for now.